Deontay Wilder versus Zhilei Zhang. What an interesting fight. What a spectacular knockout victory for Zhilei Zhang. Let's hear from Stephen Breadman Edwards his thoughts about this fight. I am joined by my partner, one of the greatest boxing minds we have in our sport, Stephen Breadman Edwards. Stephen, we're going to talk about the big 5 versus 5 card we just witnessed from Saudi Arabia. What did you think about the big fight card?
I thought it was a terrific show. As far as the matchmaking, the fights were matched very well. Very competitive fights. Queensberry obviously dominated the outcomes, and they won. All 5 fights, which was pretty impressive in my opinion. But the fights they were matched well, and it was good fights.
I thought the whole card was very, very exciting, really, from top to bottom. We're going to talk a little, we're going to start with the main event. Zhilei Zhang versus Deontay Wilder, the big destruction that took place. What did you see in this fight?
I see. I saw that when you lose and you're an intimidating kind of fighter, you have to be very, 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 very special to overcome a bad loss and rise to the level that you were or even higher. It's extremely, extremely difficult throughout history if you look at that. Guys who have reached Wilder's level at who've been looked at as like destroyer level fighters, and then they get knocked out or beat up, and then they have to like ascend to that same level again. It's a little bit different if you're like a boxer who loses,
Mm-hmm.
or you lose like a controversial split decision. But when you
Yep.
are like a destructive fighter and you get like kind of like destroyed at the top level, it's very difficult to come back from that. It's difficult for all fighters to come back from it because now the model is out to beat you. The good coaches pick up on the things that were more difficult for you, but it's even harder for the destructive fighters. Tommy Hearns is one of the few destructive fighters in history who bounce back better after losses. You can count guys like him on your hand, though. Like, it's a very, very difficult thing. Even the great George Foreman, he had to come back and reinvent himself 10 years after he retired. And he was one of the more destructive fighters we've ever seen. But it messes up your ego. Fighters fight you with more confidence, which is the toughest, part, because now nobody's scared of Wilder's right hand. Everybody walks to it, and it's just very, very difficult on him. Sonny Liston had the same problem. Mike Tyson had the same problem. It's just tough. Julian Jackson, once he lost to Gerald McClellan, John Mugabe, once he lost to Marvin Hagler. The list can go on and on. When those kind of fighters lose, it kind of just like, it's like the air comes out of them. Very few of them remain the same as far as their destructive invincibility that they had. Manny Pacquiao is rare. Tommy Hearns is rare.
Yeah.
But for the most
Yeah.
part, when those kind of guys lose, it's tough on them. And Wilder, he's just, it's tough. Like, even guys that we may have thought that he would beat 3, 4, 5 years ago, like a Joseph Parker, are
Yeah.
beating him now. Like I said, the good
That's true.
coaches, they pick up on uh, the mistakes, and then the fighters have more confidence in executing. Zhang just simply waited on his right hand. That right hook that he hit Wilder with, he tried that at least 7 or 8 times before it finally landed. He would just rock
Beautiful.
back, and
Beautiful shot. Yeah.
Wilder overshoots his right hand, and he drops his hand, and he has all of these bad habits, and Zhang just hooked off on him and caught him right on the bridge of his nose, had him knocked down on his feet, hit him with another big shot, and the fight was over with. So I thought Zhang had a great game plan, but the thing that I noticed the most is he was really confident. He was just he just didn't care about how hard Wilder supposedly punched, and that's just the total 360 of how people fought Wilder 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah. That's true. That right hook that Zhang landed on Wilder, that was just perfectly timed. If we go back one fight to when Deontay Wilder fought against Joseph Parker, he had a very very, how do you say, poor showing. He wasn't at his best, and he attributed that he wasn't focused, he wasn't mentally all there, and this time it was supposed to be different, but it really wasn't. And the thing is that Zhilei Zhang had a very big weight advantage, and it did work to his favor. And not only that, he looks just so much better technically and more well schooled. How early in this fight did you know that Wilder was in trouble?
Um, I didn't like his legs from the very first round, to be honest with you. His legs seemed unsteady from him. He couldn't hold his ground. He was constantly, being back to the outskirts of the ropes. And I seen in one of the exchanges, Zhang hit him with a body shot, and I was like, man, I was hoping that he could keep the fight in the center of the ring, but he just doesn't have the leg strength or the command and jab to keep the fight in the center of the ring. So now you're getting down to one punch, and he did land a couple of right hands, but they didn't seem to have an effect on Zhang. Taking a punch is a lot mental, and now the guys see that if they can just take that shot and fight through the shot and crowd Wilder, that they can, have a lot of success because he needs room to throw the shot. It's not a shot that he throws from short. He needs kind of, to kind of build up the momentum of the right hand. It's not a Joe Louis right hand. It's not like a short shot the way Gervonta Davis and Inouye punch, or even a young Mike Tyson. It's not a short, compact shot. It's a long momentum shot. It's a devastating shot, but it's only devastating from one range. And Zhang just had no regard for him. He was just too big, too strong, too good, too confident. I seen it very early, but Wilder was trying to, let it go. It's just that he was letting it go in the retreat mode. He didn't really get a chance to really, really step into it because he couldn't back Zhang up. On one of the exchanges, I seen Zhang landed a little body shot, and I was just like, man, he's closing the distance way too soon. He's getting
Yeah.
inside on Wilder way, way too soon. This is not going to be good because as the fight goes on, your resistance goes down, and the range gets broken a little bit. So the fact that he was, that close to Wilder that early in the fight, I just didn't have a lot of confidence that Wilder would be able to go the distance.
Did you see, Steven, after maybe 2 or 3 rounds, it felt like Wilder was easing his way a little bit into it. He started landing some right hand shots, but nothing happened really.
He
Zhang just took
was.
them
I
like
mean,
nothing.
he's game. Wilder's game, and the one thing he's going to give you is he's going to give you effort.
Yeah,
But he was fighting up against it. Zhang has more pedigree than him. Zhang is a better boxer.
yeah,
Um, Zhang can fight at more ranges. He's stronger. He's bigger. So it really comes down to can Wilder land his shot? And when he landed it, Zhang was well prepared. He saw the punch coming, and he seemed to have an excellent chin. So
yes,
it's tough, man. It's just Deontay, unfortunately, he was up against it because, he's not a superior boxer. So if he's getting into a
no,
fight where he can't hurt a guy, he's going to be in trouble. You know what I mean?
yeah,
His whole success is based on like his explosiveness and being able to hurt an opponent because we've seen him lose more rounds than he's won probably in his championship fights versus inferior fighters.
yeah.
So it's not like he's like winning all of the rounds and shutting guys out and then knocking them out. It's the total opposite of that. So now that guys are more confident and he's not hurting people the way he was before, it's going to be really, really tough for him to have consistent success at this part of his career.
That's true. If we say that he would to hang up his gloves now, do you think, Steven, that is he a Hall of Famer?
He has the raw numbers to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know this off the top of my head, but I don't believe that there's any fighter in the history of boxing who has 10 title defenses at heavyweight from a
Yeah,
legitimate belt that's not a Hall of Famer. I
that's
would have
true.
to do some major research, but from everything that I know There's never been a heavyweight champion that's not a Hall of Famer or held the belt for 5 years, um, that meet those qualifications that's not in the Hall of Fame. But
That's true.
because of, the four belt era, and because the media has always been very hard on Wilder in terms of his
Yeah.
opponent and his boxing ability, and it doesn't seem like that they respect him as much as other heavyweight champions. Um, I have my doubts that they will vote him in, to be honest with you.
But he has a good shot, right? I mean, it's not sure, but
Um,
he's.
I don't
Is
know.
it
I
like a
don't know. Like,
50-50? Would you say? Is it a 50-50?
I would say 60-40 against it, and I'm
Yeah.
listen, I think Wilder is a solid champion, and I think that
Yeah.
there have been lesser guys that went in the Hall of Fame, but now where you have, more body to judge from and things like that, it's hard to compare Wilder with the guy who got in from the 60s or 70s because there's been more fighters that come along. So there's a larger field that you have to vote against, So from everything that I've like hear some of the guys say, like I wouldn't have a problem if he got in personally, but I just doesn't seem like the media really respects Deontay, and it's up to the guys who are voting. So, I've never heard one of the voting members of the BWAA like really talk highly of Wilder and campaign for him to go in the Hall of Fame. I've heard kind of like the opposite sentiment towards him.
Got it. We appreciate him very much. I think he's been very good for boxing, for American boxing, for heavyweight boxing. He was just so exciting when he was, in his prime.
Listen, and he's maybe like 1 second away from beating Tyson Fury.
That's true.
That first fight, 1 second away from beating Tyson Fury. So, if he wins that first fight, this is a totally different conversation. I'm not saying that, he should have won or whatever. I'm not trying to raise any controversy, but that one count of that fight, changes the perception of his career.
That's
Because if he
very
gets
true.
that win over Tyson Fury, then I think he's a lock for the Hall of Fame. But because he doesn't have an official win over Fury, he never fought
Yeah.
Usyk, he never fought Joshua, and things have ended this badly for him. His career looks different now.
Not only that, Stephen, I was thinking about this the other day. I feel actually a little bit bad for Wilder because of the way many casual fans will remember him after his last few outings. Because really, just what you just said, if he would have won the first Fury fight, if he would have gotten the knockout victory in the 12th round, I don't think there was even a rematch clause to begin with. Was there?
I,
Do you remember that?
I don't know. I can't really say, but if he
If
gets
we
that
say
fight,
that, yes.
it's all different now. Everything is
Yeah.
different. One moment can cost you everything because Tyson Fury is going to go to the Hall of Fame primarily because of his victories over Wilder.
Yeah, that's true.
So that could be the good case for Wilder. Like Tyson Fury's best wins are Wilder and of course agent Vladimir Klitschko. So if Wilder is not very good, which people try to say, then uh so what I'm saying is if someone wanted to play devil's advocate and if Tyson Fury goes in the Hall of Fame, a Wilder supporter could easily say, if Tyson Fury's uh, deciding qualifications on his resume is the 3-fight series with Wilder, if that puts him in the Hall of Fame, then Wilder can go in right behind him.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't vote for the Hall of Fame. I don't have anything to do with that. But I know BWAA members, and they don't seem to be that high on Wilder, unfortunately. But he will probably be the only heavyweight in history with 10 title defenses that's not a Hall of Famer if he doesn't get in.
Yes. He had a great career. I wish him nothing but the best. Do you think it's time for him to hang up the gloves? What would you say to that?
I think he has to be very careful. Sometimes some styles age well and some don't. And because of the damage that he's been suffering, you got to remember he got the side of his face broken against Tyson Fury. He was
Yeah.
knocked down maybe 5 times versus Fury. The last knockout was just absolutely brutal in their third fight
Yes.
versus
Yes,
Fury.
it was.
And you know, Fury's a big guy and he's a good puncher, but he doesn't like really put guys to sleep like that, you know. And then there's Zhang knockout, the way he hit his head on the canvas and losing every round to Joseph Parker. That's a big indicator to me because I
Yeah.
really did not see that one coming. You know, I knew Zhang was a tough out for him, but I thought he would light Parker up, to be totally honest with you. You know,
Hmm.
and not only did he not knock Parker out, but he lost every round to him. You
Yeah.
know, and I don't
He did.
consider Parker's a solid fighter, very good fighter, but I don't consider him like a master boxer for him to be able to shut out Deontay Wilder. So, you know, I know he's saying he's not mentally right and all that kind of stuff, but it's your job to be mentally prepared for a fight. You know,
Yes, true.
so those things, I don't want to say the guy should retire, but he has to be very careful moving forward. And you know, whoever's making the decisions for him have to be very careful on how he's you know, how he's matched. After that knockout, you got to be careful with putting him in with another big puncher like that right away. Wilder hit his head, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
he did.
whenever a person has that whiplash effect where they hit the back of their head, you got to be very careful at that point. You know, I didn't like the way he went down.
Thank you very much about that fight, Stephen Breadman Edwards.